Food is the most addictive drug in the world. After we are born, first we sort out the oxygen problem. Once we work out how to breathe it in, the very next thing that we look for is food. From that moment on, food plays a very deep and meaningful role in our lives. Every time we get upset during these first few years, chances are we will have a nibble, fake or real, stuffed into our mouth to soothe us, and often it does work. Think of the association we build up between feeling better or being soothed and food. Every major event and celebration involves food. Indeed, often they involve and revolve around food. Graduations, wedding, Christmas, and even Easter. For us black people, a funeral without food is not finished. And of course, there is the most important event of the year for every one of us, our birthday. What would you think of your birthday party if there was no food? No birthday cake? Think about the key role of the cake. It holds the candles that when lit, trigger the singing and the hoorahing. As children, when we were given a treat by parents and influential adults, often there was food, or food was a key part of it. There are few special activities that don't involve food. What will a trip to the movies or a theme park be without popcorn, sweets, or soft drink? These celebrations or special times are when we relax and have the most fun. Fun and food become closely connected and live side by side in our minds as neighbors. Each celebration cements this relationship further. Some events, such as graduations, are very important landmarks, so the food now comes packaged with respect. As we get older, alcohol is added to the mix, further intensifying the link between fun and food. With alcohol comes sexual flirtation, and as Shakespeare reminded us, and I quote, "Drink it added to the desire, but it taketh away the performance," end of quote. Then we add the excitement of sexual flirtation and the pleasure and pride of dressing up. You can see that food is now keeping some mighty powerful company. With each celebration, each party, each treat, the connection that we each have to food is given more depth and more meaning. By the time we reach adulthood, the association between food and having a party is irreversibly established deep in our mind. Food becomes one of the ultimate forms of reward that we can experience as human beings. Eating becomes party time. For many of us, food is absolutely the ultimate form of reward in our day-to-day lives. More specifically, certain foods come to represent party time better than others. Chocolate will be the old faithful in this regard. Think about the foods that cause you the most problems. Your favorite stuck on the weight foods. How many of them are the foods you typically find at a party? For many people I work with, eating their favorite or forbidden food is really an escape from their stressful lives into their own brief little party and a little world. If you start to think through and reflect upon your own life, I think you can see the problem that arises when our doctors, personal trainers, or partner tells us, or we tell ourselves, that we have to stop eating those unhealthy foods and go and exercise more. Consciously, we will think that it is a good idea. We all want to be healthy and lose weight, but deep down in our unconscious, a much more powerful voice is quietly but firmly saying, "Nice idea, but it ain't gonna happen. There's too many sacrifices in that plan." It's a bit like being told you're never going to party or have fun again in your life. For most people who then start to diet, this is the beginning of a quiet, silent rebellion. For years, the medical profession has told people they would be better off if they stopped eating unhealthy foods and exercised more. What so many of my clients tell me is that they need to hear something they don't know. As if they didn't know that you should exercise more and eat fewer bad foods. What have we trainers been thinking? When I worked as a personal trainer in one of the franchise fitness clubs, I have no doubt I handed out the same idiotic advice. Now, when I work with people, either individually or in groups, I cringe when they tell me about doctors and dietitians who told them they should stop eating unhealthy food as if this was news to them. Newsflash, it's not. We trainers and doctors, we can be a very patronizing bunch sometimes. I've never met an overweight person who didn't know that they should eat few unhealthy foods and exercise more. Never. I've also never met an overweight individual who did not know that they should cut back on fatty, sugary food and eat in less calories as junk food. So if we all know what we should do, the question is, why don't we do it? Why don't we change our behavior, folks? Research going back more than half a century repeatedly shows that 80% of dieters ultimately regained the weight that they had lost. And worse still, they often regained more than they lost. If this has been your experience, you can be reassured that you're perfectly normal. When you think about this problem from the perspective of your history with food, it becomes crystal clear why attempts to lose weight usually fail. The doctors and trainers seem not to appreciate that food is highly addictive. Some of the telltale signs of addictions are cravings, needing more of the substance than one did previously, and changing plans in order to gain access to that substance. But unlike other addictive substances, we grow up, as previously discussed, with food having an ever-increasing emotional meaning for us throughout our formative years. Surprisingly, given the sophisticated advancements in other areas, the medical approach to losing weight has completely failed to deal with our deep emotional attachment to food and has not evolved since the practice of medicine began. Instead of approaching the overweight individual in a holistic approach, the traditional approach has seen us using mind-body separation at its worst. You have to begin as you wish to continue. The medical profession is not only just beginning to realize that simply telling somebody to give up smoking because it's bad for you is an exercise in abject futility. I think we've realized that you will have to be living in a cave in tundra not to know that smoking is bad for you. Mind you, if you lived in a cave in tundra in Turkana in Kenya with no access to cigarettes, it will not be an issue for you then. I will argue that giving up unhealthy food is a much more complicated task. The big difference is that, unlike nicotine or alcohol, we need food for our own very survival. Moreover, as we have seen already, we develop a much greater attachment to food in our formative year than we ever do to nicotine or alcohol, although some teenagers do try to make up the difference. Food addiction is the only addiction where we get hooked before we can walk. Imagine the problem that a heroin addict will have wandering through their day with heroin available in lots of different forms everywhere they went. They will get out of bed, open the fridge door, and they will be taunting them. Opening the pantry door, more heroin. Then they will go out only to be confronted by coffee shops with beautifully presented syringes, all ready to inject with a nice clean needle and a small ball to make it look pretty. How far will a heroin addict get through the day without using? I believe that food is the most addictive substance on the planet, way more addictive than heroin. And we trainers and doctors expect you to go through your day constantly confronted by this addictive substance that you need to survive, and only eat as much as you need to survive. While the medical profession may have set the standard, the greater diet industry is equally to blame. The vast majority of diet plans out there tell us that we all have to do is eat the way they tell us and the weight will just fall off. This is usually true, as there are very few diets that don't cause weight loss. But what they don't tell us is how difficult it is to eat this way for the long term. It doesn't matter how effective a diet is in causing weight loss if we can't maintain it indefinitely. Whenever you start a diet, you must ask yourself this question: Is this something that I can see myself doing in 6 months, a year, or 6 years from now? If the honest answer is no, don't put yourself through the heartache and roller coaster of the weight loss cycle. This is the essence of begin as you wish to continue. It is about being honest and admitting to yourself that right up front, if you cannot see yourself keeping up a new behavior for the long term, trust yourself to answer this question. Just hear yourself and listen carefully. You know what you can and what you can't do once the initial enthusiasm falls away. I suspect you have very probably embarked on a weight loss plan before. This is not your first one. I want you to listen to your inner wisdom. In this program, I'm going to show you how to do it all somewhat differently. I want you to use your past to be your teacher. You are a product of your past, but don't be a prisoner on it. And that's why this Dream Body Fitness program, results and not resolutions, it is the perfect program for anybody that is struggled with weight loss before. Click on the link before and you will get all the details to how we can work together and how I can help you.